Events in history on July 14th. 982. King Otto II and his Frankish army defeated in pitched battle with Muslim army of Al-Qasim at Cape Colonna, southern Italy. 1077. Bayeux tapestry likely first goes on display to decorate the nave during the consecration of Notre Dame of Bayeux Cathedral, Bayeux, Normandy. 1223. Louis VIII becomes King of France upon the death of his father, Philip II. 1420. Battle at Witkowicz's Hill, Prague, Taborites beat Bohemia. 1535. Emperor Charles V conquers Tunis. 1570. Pope Pius V introduces a standardized Roman Missal. Text of the Latin Mass, a reform of the Council of Trent, will remain unchanged for 400 years. 1581. English Jesuit priest Edmund Campion arrested for sedition in Anglican England, later hung, drawn, and quartered. 1698. The Darien scheme begins with 5 ships, bearing about 1,200 people, departing Leith for the Isthmus of Panama. 1714. Battle of Åland. Russian fleet overpowers larger Swedish naval force. 1769. The De Portola expedition establishes a base in California and sets out to find the port of Monterey, now Monterey, California. 1771. Mission San Antonio de Padua founded in California. 1789. Bastille Day, the French Revolution begins, with the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris, now celebrated as France's National Day. 1790. The Fête de la Fédération, attended by Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, is held across France on the first anniversary of the French Revolution. 1791. The Priestley riots drive Joseph Priestley, a supporter of the French Revolution, out of Birmingham, England. 1798. First direct U.S. federal tax on states enacted to finance military build-up, dwellings, land, and slaves are subject to tariff. U.S. Sedition Act prohibits false, scandalous, and malicious writing against government. 1822. Date planned for the slave revolt in Charleston, South Carolina by Denmark. Bessie and Peter Poy's plot already uncovered in June. 1823. Switzerland signs boundaries for fugitives. 1845. First postmaster's provisional stamps issued, NYC. 1850. First public demonstration of ice made by refrigeration, by Florida physician John Gorey. 1853. Commodore Perry requests trade relations with Japan. New Zealand holds its first general election. U.S. President Franklin Pierce opens the exhibition of the Industry of All Nations, a World's Fair, at the Crystal Palace in New York City, now site of Bryant Park. 1861. General McDowell advances toward Fairfax Courthouse, Virginia with 40,000 troops. Naval engagement at Wilmington, North Carolina. USS Daylight establishes blockade. 1863. Battle of Falling Waters, Maryland, Beaver Creek. Jews of Holstein, Germany granted equality. 1864. Gold is discovered in Helena, Montana. 1865. English mountaineer Edward Whymper leads first expedition to climb the Matterhorn for die on the descent. The Chickasaw Nation is the last of the 5 tribes to surrender to the Union following the Confederate defeat. 1868. Alvin J. Fellows of New Haven, Connecticut patents the tape measure. 1870. The United States Congress grants Mary Todd Lincoln a life pension in the amount of $3,000 a year. 1877. General strike brings U.S. railroad to a standstill. 1891. American John T. Smith patents corkboard. 1902. The Campanile in St. Mark's Square, Venice collapses, also demolishing the Loggia reconstructed 1912. 1909. German Chancellor Bernhard von Bülow resigns and is replaced by Theobald von Bethmann-Hollweg. 1911. 46 inches of rain begins to fall in Baguio, Philippines. 1914. American engineer Robert Goddard is granted the first patent for liquid-fueled rocket design. 1916. 13.2 inches 33.6 centimeters rainfall at Effingham, South Carolina state record until 1999. 1921. Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti convicted of killing their shoe company's paymaster and sentenced to death in Dedham, Massachusetts. 1927. First commercial airplane flight in Hawaii. 1932. Belgian Chamber rules Dutch language for education of Flanders. 1933. All non-Nazi parties are banned in Germany. Germany begins mandatory sterilization of people with hereditary illnesses. Hadley Verity bowls out Essex twice in a day. 8-47 and 9-44 for Yorkshire at Leighton. 1934. 116 degrees Fahrenheit 47 degrees Celsius, Oro Grande, New Mexico state record, broken on June 27, 1994. 1936. 1 million demonstrate to support French People's Front government. 116 degrees Fahrenheit 47 degrees Celsius, Collegial, Indiana state record. 1938. Benito Mussolini publishes anti-Jewish African manifesto. 1940. Due to beanball wars, Spalding advertises batting helmet with ear flaps. Lithuania becomes Lithuanian SSR. 1941. 6,000 Lithuanian Jews are exterminated at Vishalsian camp. Ceasefire of Joan of Arc ends combat in Lebanon and Syria. Jam rationed in Holland. 1942. First transport of Amsterdam Jews to Westerbork. Riots against Jews in Amsterdam. 1944. Attempt to liberate prisoners in Amsterdam fails. John Post arrested. U.S. assault on Townsend's Cotendon. 1945. Battleship USS South Dakota is first U.S. ship to bombard Japan. 1946. Dr. Benjamin Spock's Common Sense Book of Baby and Child Care. Published. Kiel's pogrom, mob of civilians. Police and soldiers investigating false kidnapping allegation attack Jewish Holocaust survivors in Kielce, Poland, 40 killed, 40 plus injured. 1948. Palmiro Togliatti, leader of the Italian Communist Party, is shot near to the Italian parliament in an assassination attempt. 1950. Ray Wayne awarded first Distinguished Flying Cross in Korea. 1952. SS United States crosses Atlantic in 84-12 record westward. 1953. First U.S. national monument dedicated to a Black American to preserve the boyhood home of agricultural scientist and inventor George Washington Carver in Newton County, Missouri. 1954. 117 degrees Fahrenheit 47 degrees Celsius, East St. Louis, Illinois state record. 118 degrees Fahrenheit 48 degrees Celsius, Warsaw and Union, Missouri state record. 1955. 2 killed and many dazed by lightning strikes at Ascot Racecourse in England. 1957. Soviet steamer Echbad sinks in Caspian Sea, drowning to 170. 1958. Iraqi Army Brigadier Abd al-Karim Qasim forms a military government after overthrowing the Iraqi monarchy in the 14th of July Revolution. Pope Pius XII publishes his 39th and last encyclical Meminus Juvit. 1959. USS Long Beach, first nuclear-powered cruiser launched at Quincy, Massachusetts. 1960. Fire rages through a Guatemala City insane asylum, killing 225 and severely injuring 300. 1961. Finland's Maitanen government forms. 1962. Borehole for Mont Blanc tunnel finished. U.S. performs nuclear test at Nevada test site. 1965. Australian Ronald Clark runs world record 10,027 to 39.4. Israeli-Jordanian border fights. U.S. Mariner 4, first Mars probe, passes at 6,100 miles 9,800 kilometers. 1966. Richard Speck rapes and kills 8 nurses in a Chicago dormitory. 1967. Surveyor for launch to moon explodes just before landing. 1968. Houston Astro Don Wilson strikes out 18. Beats Red 6-1 at Crossley Field in Cincinnati. 1969. Football war between El Salvador and Honduras begins. A 67-year-old Catholic civilian died after being attacked BIRIC officers in Dungiven. Many consider this the first death of the Troubles. The United States $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 bills are officially withdrawn from circulation. 1972. Jean Westwood is first woman chosen to head Democratic National Committee. USSR performs underground nuclear test. 1974. Bundy victims Janice Odd and Denise Naslin disappeared. Lake Sammamish, Washington. 1975. Epcot Center Florida plans announced. 1976. Democratic Convention in NYC nominates former Georgia Governor Jimmy Carter for president and U.S. Senator Walter Mondale from Minnesota for vice president. USSR banishes dissident André Amalrik to Netherlands. 1977. North Korea shoots down U.S. helicopter, killing 3. U.S. House establishes permanent select committee on intelligence. 1978. Allen Ginsberg completes Plutonian Ode. Blocks trainload of fissile material headed for Rockwell's nuclear bomb trigger factory, Colorado. Anatoly Sharansky convicted of anti-Soviet agitation. 1979. USSR performs nuclear test. 1981. Kevin Wade's Key Exchange premieres in London. 1983. U.S. politicians Dan Crane Rep. Harrell and Jerry Studs Rep. D. Moz admit to sex with pages. 1984. New Zealand snap election. David Lang's Labour Party defeats Robert Muldoon's National Party. STS-4-1D vehicle moves to vehicle assembly building at Kennedy Space Center, Florida for remanifest of payloads. 1985. Columbia returns to Kennedy Space Center via Off-a-Day FB NEB. Last USFL game, Baltimore Stars defeats Oakland Invaders to 8-4. 1986. 10 killed and 60 injured at ETA bomb attack in Madrid. Motley Crue's Vince Neil begins 30-day sentence for vehicular homicide. NASA's plan to implement recommendations of Rogers Commission. Richard Miller becomes the first FBI agent convicted of espionage. Second Lubbers government formed in the Netherlands. Shalimar's Howard Hewitt acquitted in Miami of drug charges. 1987. Greyhound bus buys Trailways bus for $80 million. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North concludes 6 days of congressional testimony. Taiwan ends 37 years of martial law. 1988. 200,000 demonstrate in Soviet Armenia for incorporation of Nagorno-Karabakh. WYHY Radio offers $1 million to anyone who can prove Elvis is still alive. 1990. Howard Stern's summer show premieres on WWR-TV NYC. Sarah Martin of Illinois crowned America's Junior Miss. 1991. Failed military coup in Mali. 1992. 386 BSD is released by Lynn Jalitz and William Jalitz, starting the open-source operating system revolution. Linus Torvalds released Linux soon afterwards. 1993. Aeroflot starts non-stop flights between Moscow and NY. 1994. Gas explosion at old age home in Milan, 27 killed. 1997. Bomb in Algiers kills 21 and wounds 40. 1998. Violence erupts in Richmond, South Africa, reflecting underlying political tensions between supporters of the NC and Inkatha Freedom Party. 2002. French President Jacques Chirac escapes an assassination attempt unscathed during Bastille Day celebrations. 2007. Russia withdraws from the Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. 2009. Singapore experiences a seasonally adjusted and annualized growth of 20.4% in the second quarter as a result of increased pharmaceuticals production and construction, bringing the country out of the recession. 2012. Floods on Japanese island of Kyushu kill 20 and displace 250,000 people. Suicide bomber attacks a wedding reception and killed 22 people, and injured 22 in northern Afghanistan. 2014. After 7 days, Israel has struck Gaza 1320 times, while Gaza has fired 940 rockets at Israel. The Church of England votes in favor of allowing women to become bishops. The death toll from the West African Ebola outbreak passes 500. The Egyptian government proposes ceasefire in the Israel-Gaza conflict. 2015. Arms deal agreed between 6 world powers, and Iran limiting Iranian nuclear arms but ending sanctions. Harper Lee's second novel Go Set a Watchman. An early 1957 version of To Kill a Mockingbird goes on sale in 70 countries. Scientists from the Large Hadron Collider announced the discovery of a new particle called the pentaquark. 2018. Civilians killed in Afghan war reaches record high with 1,690 killed in first 6 months of 2018, says UN. Haitian Prime Minister Jacques Guy-Lafontaine resigns after violent protests against fuel price rises. Huge iceberg looming over Innersut village. Western Greenland prompts evacuations in case it calves. More than 300 people now reported killed in protests against government of President Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua. Russian covert agent Maria Butina arrested by the FBI in Washington, D.C. and charged with being an unregistered foreign agent. U.S. President Donald Trump calls the EU a trade foe. In interview with CBS ahead of meeting with Russian President Putin. 2019. First Ebola case on Goma, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. City of 1 million as toll of outbreak reaches 1,600 victims. U.S. President Donald Trump ignites racial controversy by tweeting for Democrat women of color go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came. 2020. New study shows Andean condor, world's heaviest bird, can fly for 5 hours without flapping its wings. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. 2021. Drug overdose deaths in the U.S. rose 30% to record 93,000 in 2020, according to CDC.